Campers, it's me, Ari Lehman, the first Jason Voorhees. From Friday the 13th, I'm here with AJ, and he's got the juiciest slice ready for you. It's dripping with blood. Jason never dies.
What makes a horror film kill memorable, terrific, even in some way profound or poignant? Let's explore. Thanks for checking this out. If anything about it trips your fancy, please like, subscribe, and share.
Yes.
Without further ado,
You stay here, Maria. I'll just take a look at my traps. Then we'll go to the village and have a grand time, huh?
in a much simpler time, before technology consumed the minutiae of the day, a little girl looks forward to time with her father, who obviously adores her.
Daddy, won't you stay and play with me a little while?
I'm too busy, darling. You stay and play with the kitty, huh?
Such is life, the man's tasks are never done, but they can both look forward to having some good wholesome fun together once he returns.
Bye, Daddy.
Goodbye. Be a good girl now.
Maria need only occupy herself for a time.
Come on, kitty.
So she goes about killing some time while waiting with great eagerness. Crazy medical experimentation having gone on in the nearby castle, a farm girl like Maria would have no conception of the thing wandering around in the woods. A humanoid creature made of dead parts reanimated by a madman who tried his hand at playing God, only to learn the folly of his hubris, and in the process lost his greatest success and darkest failure, allowing the thing to escape into the countryside and come upon a lone child. Maria is surprised, not so much that a monster appeared, but someone unfamiliar. In her insular farming community, such an odd stranger would be quite remarkable. They size each other up, and Maria doesn't quite know what to make of this lumbering outsider, but quickly judges him unthreatening, and is only curious about him.
Who are you?
Peering at her quizzically, having yet to learn speech, the only answer he can give is in his actions.
I'm Maria. Will you play with me?
Don't threaten the monster with a good time. He's down to clown, and he has no clue what a clown even is. Maria leads him, and he appears totally compliant. Two brands of innocence going hand in hand. Inclusive and accepting, Maria's parents should be proud of her. This being a time long before the prevalence of stranger danger put the kibosh on the notion it's okay for children to befriend wayward adults that appear on their property, something of a story trope in the past.
Would you like one of my flowers?
With a gentleness that seems like it should be beyond such an uncoordinated brute. He receives her gift unquestioningly, and brings the flower to his face, really taking it in. In this instant, he learns of beauty, perhaps fragrance, and he is pleased by the expansion of his knowledge. Having taken charge, Maria acts, and the monster is happy to mimic. Very curious about her and her monkey shines.
You have those.
In the precious and endearing way of children, she wants to include him in her play.
And I'll have these.
But he seems more interested in her delicate little hands. One under normal circumstances would be an unsettling sign. Here, his wonder is unmistakably childlike. Maria doesn't even bat an eye at his overfamiliarity.
I can make a boat.
This turning out to be a good distraction while she awaits her father's return. She demonstrates her boat-making skills to her avid audience.
See how mine floats?
Blown away. He does. He does see how it floats. And he's so awestruck, he can't help but to imitate her actions. They make a fun game of it, and this might be the peak moment of the monster's existence, when all he knows is unalloyed joy, with a child who accepts him without question. Such moments exist to be turned on their ear, and on the reverse of a good time can be the worst time ever. Having experienced his first dopamine hit, the jubilant monster wants another one. No, this isn't good. Caught up in the excitement, the poor galoot falls prey to his own worst instincts.
No, you're hurting me! No!
And, unable to distinguish why it might be a bad idea to pick up a child like plucking a flower, or that her screams of peril means he should set her back down. He plunges her into the languid waters, hoping to replicate the trick, expecting little Maria to float because she's beautiful and wondrous like the flowers, when she sinks like a rock and, in fact, exhibits no buoyancy whatsoever. Even as naive and confused as he is, even as unaware of the true gravity of what just happened, the monster knows this isn't good, and he messed up, because the last thing he wanted was to do away with Maria, or cause her any harm of any kind, and the realization sets him off. At the mercy of overwhelming feelings he has no capacity to understand, the sum total of sewn together parts goes running off into the woods. His inopportune and regrettable actions soon to be discovered.
Maria, she's drowned. Why'd you bring her here to me?
Isn't it obvious? If in his eyes it were merely an accident, he wouldn't be here, and that should be clear.
But she's been murdered.
Like all parents of a murdered child, Maria's anguished father wants justice for his baby girl. This seals the monster's fate. With pitchforks and torches close at hand, and a large group already gathered, it's only a matter of, well, all the ingredients are already assembled, so a matter of getting down to it. An exit can be extraordinary for what it reveals about the human condition. How where an adult sees a monster, a child sees only a playmate. How the gulf in the spectrum between naivete and awareness can be deep enough to drown a rambunctious little one. How such a tragedy can happen for no good reason, other than a dumb misunderstanding. And how accidents, even purposeful ones, are still accidents, no matter how difficult that can be to accept. The whole sequence is a lesson in building suspense. For early audiences, the anticipation of when the monster was going to inevitably snap and tear apart the little girl had to be excruciating. Film grammar indicated no less. The monster wasn't to be trusted. That unnerving, spine-chilling expectation was wonderful misdirection, By establishing reason to have intense fear of the monster's propensity for violent outbursts, a valve with ever-increasing pressure building behind it was created. The monster happening upon an unsupervised child had to increase that pressure to near bursting, only to lessen the blow of the eventual release by changing the parameters of all the worst-case scenarios being imagined and played out in the heads of the audience. By having it come down to the monster's ignorance rather than anger or deviancy, it removed the supposed violence and savagery. Was it horrible? Yes. Was it as bad as the monster ravaging her with his bare hands as she screamed and fought? Not remotely. And it kept sympathy squarely with the monster, because he was as much a victim of his ignorance as anyone he inadvertently killed.
My poor man.
Heartrending even in the modern day. In 1931, a death such as this one had to be not only beyond the pale, but also straight up beyond the height of taboo. Children were looked upon as the embodiment of purity and innocence, in a way even more pronounced than today. An idealization that diminished and mostly died out over time. As it has been accepted, everyone comes of age at different points, and even a very young person can be expertly manipulative and or violent.
What?
The film benefited from the time of release, sort of a Wild West period during which it was entirely up to filmmakers and distributors what ended up in a film. This was pre-code, so who knew what even a respectable studio, one unchecked, might foist upon the public. Dollars could always be made by appealing to morbid curiosity, an unsavory element alive and well in the psychology, even of today's audience. Exploiting sick fascination was a good way to goose and drive up ticket sales, and the entire film, the sacrilegious tale of a man manufactured out of dead parts, was itself a prime example of a property made purely to take advantage of the audience's appetite for shock, titillation, and scares. Oh, and Dracula proved horror with a literary bent could make money. And even though they're good at blowing and losing it, studios aren't exactly allergic to money coming in hand over fist. Weirdly, how the film was originally released sought to diminish the impact of Maria's exit even more, only for the attempt to backfire miserably. The way it plays out, pathos for the monster remains intact, because there's nothing uncertain about the circumstances to suggest worse happened.
Yep, that stands up to scrutiny.
Even without the influence of censorship boards breathing down his neck, the head of Universal Studios himself, Carl Laemmle Sr., in his infinite wisdom, mandated the scene be truncated, so that it cut from the monster tossing flowers to Maria's agitated father carrying her body through the village. Of course, this only served to leave room for imaginations to run wild. Give the audience space to fill. They will populate it with horrors far worse than what can be presented on the screen. So the monster went from sympathetic dolt to unforgivable savage.
Well, we can certainly say you're not afraid to be reductive.
Sadly, and not at all because I commiserate, even with the sequence presented in its proper form, the monster will always be one of film's great misunderstood characters. The perfect example of a book that can't be judged by the cover. An infantile Goliath capable of doing incredible damage, but too simple to understand the consequences. In need of love, structure, and guidance he would never receive. Destined to wander from one angry mob to another. The only way he would have an evil bone in his body is if he were to end up in lockup and got turned out. Otherwise, he was a virtual innocent, not responsible for even his most vile actions, even if that immutable fact in no way mitigated how his guilt was perceived, or save him from retribution. The monster might be a walking analogy for the importance of nurturing. Every baby is born a clean slate, in need of lessons to shape what's drawn and written on that slate. And the monster represents what would happen were babies born large and ambulatory, how they would be an inherent threat, simply because they know no better. This would mean we are all born quote-unquote monsters, and remained as such until we were taught the rules, respect, and other decorum that makes us at least relatively productive members of society. A notion put to film quite proficiently in the 1974 classic It's Alive.
Where's my baby Where's my baby?
Maria was in many ways the monster's opposite, an articulate and respectful little girl provided for and loved by parents who cherished her and taught her how to interact well with others. How were they alike? They enjoyed play and were fast to forge camaraderie. Too bad the monster's minimal grasp of things and lack of anything approaching socialization. Ended their burgeoning friendship so unequivocally. It was pretty obvious, even at so tender of an age, Maria's slate was getting filled with examples, truisms, and wisdoms that would have gotten her through a long life, had a mad scientist not meddled in that which man is not meant to meddle.
I know what it feels like to be gone.
Well, I've about reached the end of the rope, so I won't leave you dangling. Thanks for humoring my ramblings. Please share any refutations, opinions, accusations, japes, or other ideas in the comments below. And please join me for whatever I'm up to next time. Bye now.
Bye, creepy man! Keep it creepy!
He's a weird guy.
Goodbye.
Won't be long then.
Oh, no. Franz goes by, tell them I'll be back soon.